Record. We're good.
Hey, welcome back. Episode 50, JR, Process, Preparation, and Performance, the Big 5-0. I happen to turn 50 this year, JR, so it's kind of apropos. Normally, we do this introduction and we talk about you and me and kind of where life has been. But our guest today, it's too good to waste any time. Somehow, some way, we got Rod Smith. I don't know how this happened. I'm not sure. I think that somebody had to pay him or he lost a bet or something. But Rod Smith is here for episode 50, JR.
Like you said, we got lucky, and we've got, and maybe I'm personally biased, I think we've got the best sports broadcaster in the universe. The work he does with high schools, and I've been so lucky and fortunate to build a relationship with him the last 4 years doing what I did in the AD office at Jeff City. So Rod, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, JR, and thank you, Dr. Bill Duke. You are two of my favorites, and this is an honor. I'm not getting paid a cent for this, by the way, but I love spending time with you guys. You are two of the most positive sports people around, and you both get things done at your schools, wherever you're at, and I appreciate it. And Dr. Duke, you turned 50. Guess what? I moved recently up to the 60-year-old tees in golf. So,
nice. Nice.
You know, Rod, we were talking quite a bit. Like, what are we going to ask you? I mean, your breadth of knowledge and the time that you've covered sports, you know, especially even at the high school level, is so much. And you know, we see on Twitter it's Super Bowls and World Series, and yeah. I'm going to lead off here. What are the biggest changes in your mind over your career have you seen as far as high school sports is concerned?
Okay. High school sports, well, that's a good question. I was thinking of, when you started asking that question, I was thinking of what's the biggest change in our media presence at sports. And I might go off there before I talk to you about high school sports, but the thing that I miss the most is the personal relationships in college athletics that I used to have with guys like Larry Smith at University of Missouri, Norm Stewart. You know, about year 2000 or so, things got to be, it was legitimately a big business. And our access to coaches and players became much more businesslike. I used to go up, when I first started in the 1980s, I would go up to Missouri and basically call Woody Woodenhofer's secretary and say, hey, I'm coming in about 15 minutes. Can Woody just meet me outside the office door for a quick interview? And we did it. We would come, and when Bill McCartney was coaching the Colorado Buffaloes, and they would come in to Mizzou to play Missouri football, I'd catch him off the bus. Cordell Stewart, guys like that. We talked to him getting off the bus from Colorado, you know, the airport and then the hotel, and we talked to these coaches then. Now you can't do any of that. You know, you got to go through a lot of circles to get interviews and get to talk to people. But as far as high school sports, let me think about that. How has it changed? I don't see as many three-sport athletes at all. I did a special in a sports magazine not long ago, and of the 17 schools that we covered in this magazine, we had about 15 three-sport athletes in all those schools. That has changed. You know, back in the day, I saw Justin Smith playing not only football, we knew that, but he played basketball too. And see, Justin Smith in a basketball uniform was incredible. He was a big dude. What was more interesting than that was Christian Cantwell, the Olympian silver medalist in the shot put from. Well, I remember when he played football, track and field, and basketball. If you could imagine Christian Cantwell, the kid was what, 6'6", 300 in a basketball uniform. And so I think that's one of the changes is the specialized. I don't like that. I don't like the kids being, you know, just geared towards one sport and one sport only, thinking they're going to be the professional baseball player. So you're only going to play baseball. I love it when kids play all the sports. And, you know, you got professional athletes saying kids need to play all the sports. They help each other, you know, with different skills. And and quickness and so forth, strength. I still love it when I see kids playing more than one sport. That's one of the changes I probably don't care for as much, is that kids don't do that as much anymore.
I would agree with you. Somewhere along the line, this specialization type talk occurred, and man, it's tough because sports seems, especially at the youth level, seem to turn into how much money can it make somebody versus how much can we teach somebody, and how much can they just enjoy a game that, probably the three of us played in the street all day long growing up. You brought it up, and that was going to lead into my question. Not only is there the TV thing that happens that's amazing, it's just incredible. I bet more TVs are DVR'd for Football Friday Night and the sports section than any other show, JR. I don't think there's another thing that has more DVR presence. But now you're into the print publication of it. You're into talking about all that. Tell us a little bit about it.
About the print stuff or about TV stuff?
Yeah, the print.
It's really interesting. I got into it a few years ago with Sports Locker magazine, and my daughter Paige, she was just getting in. Well, she was playing college tennis, and she was looking. She wasn't sure what she wanted to do. She always loved sports, as so many kids do. But she ended up. We worked together. She wrote and has been writing about 10 articles each issue, and so I have had a great blessing in being able to work with my daughter. That's kind of the coolest thing. And so I got into that. KRCG teamed up with this magazine, and they wanted me to write an article. Well, that led to picking the top 20 football players or basketball players, the top teams. We figured so many other things, creative ways to highlight kids, our schools, our communities, our towns, our teams. And we had a chance to go a little deeper maybe than what we could on TV. I mean, they literally give me about 5 minutes at 10 o'clock for sports on a non-football Friday night. I get about 2.5 minutes at 6 o'clock. So you figure I work about what is that, 7.5 minutes a day? Is that all I work? I don't know, somewhere in there. A little preparation time too. But so I got into the print, which I really have enjoyed. It's given me a little freedom to write about some things a little deeper, and exciting news for you, for all of your podcast viewers. I have the opportunity to now rebrand this sports magazine into Show Me Sports Magazine, and we're going to do a lot of the things we did with the old magazine, but we're going to do it in a way that's going to work. And we have exciting news that my daughters, Brittany, Brooke, and Paige, are all going to be leading the way. I'm going to kind of guide them a little bit, but they have taken the bull by the horns, and they are excited about doing this for our mid-Missouri community. So we're excited. Our first issue comes out this summer, and we're going to strong that. And one of the best things is, Dr. Bill Duke, we are adding Tipton High School to the mix.
Yes. That's what I like to hear. Nice. Yeah.
But I've enjoyed the print business. Thanks for bringing it up, Bill. It's been fun.
Rod, you kind of mentioned just with the outreach from the Sports Locker magazine, and obviously I've worked with you and some of the folks associated with that on a lot of the athletes at Jeff City, and getting them in there and just seeing the list of the schools that you covered, and the top 30, the top 20, the top 10, the coach feature, that's in each magazine. And it seems like you interact with so many people across so many different walks of life and disciplines. But if you really think back on it, what would be one of the most memorable interviews or interactions that you have ever had?
Well, I love, honestly, I love the local level the most. I love the personal relationships I have with guys like Coach Duke down at Tipton. One memorable thing that just happened last year, I went to Tipton's practice, and just like I could do any other football practice, but when I was leaving, all of the Tipton players ran over to me, gave me a high five, and said, "Thanks for coming out." Wow, that blew me away. I mean, that was one of the sweetest things, and that was memorable for me. As far as I love the local business. Talking to OG, who was the an interview that didn't, OG didn't have much to say. Former Jeff City J athlete, but it was pretty cool. The Michael Porter days were incredible around mid-Missouri when he was playing at Father Tolton. It was like a circus show. Everybody wanted to go to every game to watch him play because he was a human highlight film. I've had the opportunity, though, honestly, on a larger scale, not because I'm in a very big market, I'm not, but I've had neat opportunities to interview my boyhood hero, Walter Payton, when he was
nice.
Yeah, after he had been retired, he was in St. Louis about the same time we were covering a PGA tournament, and I got to talk to him, and that was, get a picture with Walter Payton, who is now gone, but that was an incredible highlight. And then, honestly, golf has always been a favorite sport of mine, too, and I got to interview Jack Nicklaus down at Lake of the Ozarks when they opened Portachima, and Arnold Palmer when he opened Osage National, which was called Northport, I think, at the time. But to stand out there on the third tee and interview Arnold Palmer one-on-one was pretty incredible. And Arnold, good people. He understood that, he could do one big interview with all 20 of us media types there. He could do that. But somehow Arnold was smart enough to realize that if he did a one-on-one interview with all 20 of those guys, they'd still be talking about it 30 years later. And that's what I'm doing. He impact on me, as personable as he was, he spent the time talking to each one of us individually. That was a great deal. And to be able to talk to Dick Vermeil after the Rams Super Bowl championship, that and then don't do too many one-on-ones anymore with like Patrick Mahomes or anything like that. It's all group setting now, but those are obviously pretty cool deals to be involved in the Super Bowls. That's probably why I'm not going to retire, because if the Chiefs keep going to Super Bowls, I think I'll keep working it.
Rod, JR and I make no qualms about talking about our faith on this podcast. It's something that we don't back away from. I know that you're strong in your faith. You had a chance to MC a lot of events, and I would like you to just touch on that a little bit and give those people who are listening kind of the why behind you taking those events and running with them.
Hey, I appreciate that. I always love to share my faith. Jesus Christ is the most important person in my life, and he is a personal savior to me. I try and I fail a lot of times to live my life like Jesus, but he teaches us so many things in life. And you know what? Life isn't necessarily smoother all the time following him, but it's always better. And I think that I hope that I carry that through the way I treat people and the way I raised my daughters and my family. Christ is important. He's why I'm here today. I lost my mom a year ago. She was, on earth here, she was the most encouraging person that I've ever known, and I miss her every day. But she's still a part of my life, and she was the one that led me to Jesus. I mean, she is the one that showed me the way. So she left the Lord with me. And it is absolutely the most important thing in my life. And sometimes I don't show it, but I try. I'm a work in progress, just like the rest of us. But I am able to, whatever we do, whether we're in the coaching or the administration in sports, and me in sports casting, the Lord has opened up a lot of doors for me. And he kind of gave me that vision when I was back in college that I could go to a community. It's kind of amazing as I look back to that 30 plus years ago, that I had the vision that I could become a part of a community, and I could share about kids and athletics and sports, but I could also share my faith hopefully by the way I live, and also by helping out organizations. I'm involved with the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. Had the opportunity to MC several events over the years, believe it or not, way back. You guys will appreciate this. We had Tom Landry come to Jefferson, came to Capitol Plaza, and I got to MC the event with Tom Landry, one of the greatest coaches of all time, Dallas Cowboys. And then Mike Ditka the following year was here. So I got to sit next to Mike Ditka. And I was a Bears fan. I'm from Chicago. So So that was pretty special to have him. But those organizations do a lot for our kids. Young Life, I'm firmly involved with helping them, and FCA and other Christian organizations. There are a lot of good things going on in our schools and faith-based that I really appreciate, and I'm here to be an encourager for those, because we got to carry this faith on. We're only going to be here so long, but we need to carry it on to the next generations. And I love how Bill works and how he carries his faith and all he does with his coaching. And JR, you too, and it's all it is it's just the most important thing we can do is the Lord and love everybody. The two basic commandments in life: love the Lord your God in your heart, and love your neighbor as yourself. If you do those things, everything else will sort of fall into place.
I'll tell you what, Rod, I've never seen, when you walked in anywhere, anybody not smile when they see you. And, I think you succeed a lot more than you might give yourself credit for, with treating people the way they need to be treated, and just being a good person. I've learned over the years too, just treat people like you want to be treated. Most people, if you're willing to listen to them and just talk to them, you're going to turn out okay on the other end. That's for darn sure.
It works out well. Yeah.
So on the flip side of that, my last question I got for you: rivalries. So rivalries can get pretty heated at times over the years. What's the best ones in mid-Missouri? What's the best ones you think?
Oh, good question. It used to be Jeff City Hickman. I don't think it is anymore. I really like Jeff City Elias basketball games. There are, man, it's always good, and the best team does not always win. I've seen that upsets in that rivalry about as many as anybody else. I love that one. I never want to miss that. The great thing about me being like what they call the sports director, I don't use that title very much. I'm just the guy that does sports. But the great thing about my job is I get to pick the games I want to go to. And when there's a Jeff City Elias basketball game, I'm going to be there. I don't miss many of those. Another good rivalry is Mexico and Fulton. Now, I say it's a good rivalry. They don't like each other. They really do not like each other at all. That's been pretty interesting over the years. I'm sure there's the Eldon Osage rivalry. That's kind of neat. They do this game down at the lake, and which I'm talking to you from the lake, by the way.
Okay.
Man, it's summertime, and I'm having a great time with my family down here at the Lake of the Ozarks, and they had this old heritage gym night they had down here at Osage, and Eldon comes in to play that, or is it Versailles? I think they switch off maybe, but they've got some good rivalries down here. Let me think. I'd like to say Blair Oaks has a good rivalry, but I don't think they do, because they beat everybody and everything. So I'm a rival. California used to be a good rival, but those are Columbia school rivalries. Sometimes they're okay. Southern Boone, Hallsville, they've had rivalries over the years. Those are the ones that come to mind. I'm sure I'm missing a few. North Callaway, South Callaway is always interesting. Those two schools like to duke it out a little bit. But I think it all comes back to Jeff City Alliance for me, as far as definitely in basketball and some of the others.
I would agree with you. I think there's some of those that they have a little bit higher meaning when you get there. And I don't know what you guys think, but I think some people pick schools and stay with certain schools because of those rivalries. They're like, no, we can't go here, we can't go there, we can't eat dinner in that town because we're rivals with them. All those kind of things. JR, speed round time.
Yeah,
are you ready?
Let's do it.
Okay, Rod. Here's how it works. I have some questions. JR has some questions. They're rapid fire. If you answer every single question, you can then ask either JR or I or both a question at the end. They're not too terribly difficult, but you don't get a lot of time to think about them. So, JR, if you're good, I'm good.
I'm ready.
So these are questions that have factual answers. These are not my opinions. Is that right?
No, they're factual answers.
All right.
Okay, here we go. Speed round. Question number 1. Who's got the best pizza?
Eris Pizza.
And what are you having?
What am I having? My girls don't like too much, so I like mushrooms and pepperoni. Yeah.
What's a place you have always wanted to go?
The Masters.
Nice. Here's kind of a silly question. Rod, I got to know, how much does that camera weigh?
It's really not that much. Maybe I say about 10 pounds, but I've never weighed it, so I don't really know.
Who's the favorite daughter?
My favorite daughter, it's a tie between Brittany, Brooke, and Paige. Love them all.
Favorite music you like to listen to?
You're not going to believe it. Well, my favorite music is contemporary Christian. That's my favorite. My favorite artist, and I'll get razzed for this, is Barry Manilow, back in my high school days.
Nice.
Wow.
Nice.
Best interview?
Locally, I'm going to say Coach Pete Atkins.
Yeah. If they named a sandwich after you, what would it have on it?
Oh my gosh, I have no idea. It'd have a lot of cheese on it, that's for sure, and probably steak and cheese, probably, I guess. Yeah.
Estimate of miles per year during the high school sports season on your KRCG official car.
Ooh, that's a good question. I'm guessing 40 to 50,000.
Oh my.
Wow.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Last question for me, JR. Rod, if you could go back to any point in time and talk to anybody you would want to talk to, who would you talk to?
In a sports figure,
Anybody, doesn't matter.
well, it'd definitely be my mom, but I had, thousands of conversations with her, so that's okay. I think the Lord Jesus Christ, I talk to him daily anyway, but yeah, I'd like to be in person with him. Let's see. Yeah, is that good enough? Okay.
Yeah.
That's perfect. So, Rod, I started asking this one when we started the speed round, and it's kind of turned into a thing on here as the last question of the speed round. So, you're going to pull off a museum heist, and you can take 3 people with you. So, who are the 3 people, and why are they going with you?
Oh my gosh. JR, that's crazy. I've never had any question like that before. So you mean I got to get people that are really good at taking things or something, or what?
So I think Coach Eric Thomas, when we had him on here right after he accepted the JC job, he said, it makes you think about who is resourceful and who you can trust and who can help you get away with the thing. So
Yes.
Who's the 3 you got?
Well, number 1 guy would be my sports partner for 20 years, Tony Mullen. The guy can do anything. And yeah, I would say I'd have to take him with me for sure. And then, oh man, I'd probably take my sister. She is incredible. She would make it happen. Whatever needed to be done, she would get it done. And then probably one of my daughters. Which daughter would I choose for that? Probably Brittany, because she is, she'd find a way to get things done. She's pretty sneaky. Yeah, I think it'd be Brittany. Yeah.
Great answer.
Perfect. All right. Well, you did not pass on any questions. So if you like, you can take this opportunity to ask JR or myself or both of us. It doesn't really matter. Any question of your choosing.
All right. Dr. Duke, let me see if I can get a good question for you here. Let's see, you have, well, just tell me about how you raise boys. See, I don't have any sons, and maybe someday I'm going to get a son-in-law. It might happen. But okay, tell me about how tough is it to be dad and coach, especially when it isn't even your sport. You're watching baseball, and I hear you over there making comments.
Yeah.
How tough is that? And what do you have to think about?
That's a great question. And I'm going to give JR, you don't know this either. Maybe you do. I started writing a book a long time ago called Raising Boys, because I think the world of my father. I thought he did a great job. And I actually got a bit of advice from one of my sons. Actually, I got it from two of them along the way at separate times. And I think it's probably the key. And at different times, my oldest son, David, and my next oldest son, Jacob, told me at different stages of your life, Dad, just be you. You're cool enough. We don't need you to be anybody else. Just be you. And so anytime that I'm around them, I try to ask why before I give my opinion. I try to ask questions to get them to talk. And we used to start with, tell me three things you learned today. It could be athletic, it could be academic, it could be whatever, to get the conversation rolling. And now the conversation just happens. There's no more asking. It's some of the easiest conversations I have in my life on a daily basis. And I thank God for it, because it's truly a blessing every single day.
That's awesome. I admire you so much, Bill. I just think that's fantastic stuff. And I think we are so blessed to have you as a coach in mid-Missouri. And I'm glad you can do that. You know, the other question I was going to ask is, how in the world do you balance, you know, being a full-time doctor and a coach and a dad? That's a lot of stuff. And you're doing them all well, Bill. Keep doing them. That's all I'm going to say is I'm not going to necessarily ask the question unless you want to answer it, but we appreciate you doing all of those and doing them well.
I think the only way I would answer that, and I appreciate your kind words, is that I married up in life. I married way, way up. And she supports every crazy idea I have. So yeah, that's it.
That is super important. And I got to give a shout out to my wife, Lana, because there's no way I could have been doing what I'm doing for, and whether people like it or not, but I put a few hours into it, and I work some crazy times and crazy hours. My wife is really understanding. In fact, you know, I asked her the other day, are you ready for me to retire? And she said, no. With me at home that much. So. But yeah, you have to have a great wife. And I've been married for 36 years, and it does take work. But we still don't get along in some things, but man, I have a wonderfully understanding wife. She's great. Love Lana. Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay. I got a question for JR now, right? Because I got the bonus.
Yeah, you got them both.
JR, you got to tell me, how do you you do such a good job, JR, of managing multiple things at one time? Because I've seen him around Jeff City High School the last few years. You know, he's dealing, I know he's got 10 other things, unlocking this, and he's got to get the visiting team in here. He's got to get the referees in here, and he's got to make sure the playing surface is right. He's got to make sure everything's going right. And he still calls me back. He still some time to text me and say, I got that lower gate open for you for the live shot at 4 o'clock, and the band's going to be down there at 5:30, and the cheerleaders will be over. JR, how do you manage all of that stuff at one time?
I think I've come to the realization that I enjoy chaos. Because I think anybody that listens to this that's an AD or assistant AD, I mean, you got to juggle so many different things at once. And it's, I guess I've just got the unique ability. People say multitasking means you can't focus on anything, but it's amazing how much sometimes I think I do remember, you know, and just try to figure it out. And luckily, you know, you got good people around you. You know, all the folks that I worked with at Jeff City, I'm going to miss a lot of them immensely, just because once you get that trust factor built up with people, and you can just trust them to make the decisions, and they know you're not going to second guess them, and then you can kind of get out of the weeds and look up and out and focus on that 30,000 foot view. It makes things just so much easier. And that's a unique challenge up here. Was starting up here. Luckily, I was telling Dr. Duke before we went on, you know, started here in June just so I can kind of get a lay of the land and get an idea of the scope and scale of what I'm dealing with up here at Southern Boone. And just going to have to start repairing, or not repairing, but, you know, rebuilding all those relationships just with different people. And luckily I got somebody up here I kind of know a little bit. You know, we coached baseball a long time together, and
Oh,
it's
and Ed.
two different
Yeah.
set of circumstances. But I always, probably some of the most joy I got out of the last 4 years was just establishing and getting the relationship with not only you, Rod, but the rest of the media as well. I mean, that was something that was unique to me that I never really had a chance to do as an assistant coach in the current, you know, the other positions I was in. But it's fun. And then you get around people, and people got a sense of humor, and I got to have fun. I can't be serious all the time. So anytime you called me, I tried to make sure I got everything done. And then some of them phone calls would be like, oh yeah, crap, I got to call him back. I forgot about that. You know, having somebody run down the lower gate. I'm like, can you run down there real quick? I forgot to open it, you know? So, you got to learn to be a ringmaster. That's for darn sure.
Yeah. Well, you've done a great job with the JR, and I appreciate you so much for it. And I'm glad that even though I'm losing you at JC, I'm gaining you at Southern Boone. And that's an outstanding school district. I love those people in Ashland. That's one of the, you know, I say that about a lot of communities, and I really mean it. I really mean it. It's one of my favorite communities. They are passionate about their sports and their families and their teams and kids. And gosh, I just think we have made such inroads in that Southern Boone area because it's important to us. I go back to Dave Gill days. He was outstanding. And Brian Ash, man, they got the best baseball coach around there. And they got some other really good coaches too. They got a hired new girls basketball coach, and a really nice job there. A really good young man, real strong Christian man, and just great people there in Ashland. And now I'm gonna bother you there a lot, if that's all right, JR. And by the way, best dressed guy on this podcast now, I give the award to JR Simmons. Look at that shirt.
I appreciate you giving me that last year. That I got both of them you gave me. So I come in the door tonight. We were doing a meeting up here, and I thought I got to find that shirt. I got to get that on for the podcast. But yeah, you're right with Ashland. It's there's some good things happening up here. There's some good people here.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
One more shout out about T-shirts. Bill Duke gave me a Tipton football shirt, and I have it on the back of my chair at work. I think I got a pretty cool office. I got a lot of memorabilia and everything has a reason that's in my office there. And that shirt was given to me by Coach Duke, and I've got that proudly worn on my chair every day.
Love it. Love it. Well, Rod, JR and I kind of believe that tag is the oldest game you could ever play. And you've been it for about the last 20 minutes or so. It's time for you to tag somebody else to be it. The only rules are you have to be able to get in touch with them and help us kind of guide that process. But JR, I don't know how you get any better than this. I think we should just shut it down at 50. I don't know if we need to tag anybody or not. We have the premier sports person and just good guy in mid-Missouri. I don't know if it goes anywhere, but how does it go up, JR? I have no idea.
I'm kind of interested to see where Rod's going to go with this. We have traipsed the known universe, it seems, with some of the people that we tag. So, Rod, do you have anybody in mind to cajole, bribe, get onto our podcast here?
I do. I've got a guy that I just thought of that I think would be great because he's a wonderful storyteller and he knows more about mid-Missouri than I do. And that is the guy that I got to work with first when I came to KRCG TV. And he's still in the area, lives in Fulton on the Tanglewood Golf Course. And that is the guy we used to call Mr. Sports, Jim Reek. Jim Reek was a news anchor at KOMU, but also he was our sports director when I started in 1980. And Jim he would love to talk. That guy loves to talk. I played golf with him the other day, and that's all he did is talk. So
that sounds perfect. That sounds perfect.
Yeah.
Jim Reek. We're gonna find out who he's gonna rob a bank with.
That's become the thing. That's been the most entertaining question I think I maybe have ever come up with in the episodes here. So
that's going to be awesome. Rod, we certainly appreciate this. It has been incredible. Just, you know, people truly do enjoy you and what you do. And it's not just what you do, it's who you are and how you do it. And JR is right. You know, you have two choices when you walk into a room or a stadium or on a field. You can either bring energy or you can take energy, and you're always bringing energy, Rod. And we are so privileged and happy to have you here in mid-Missouri. You know, I'm sorry your wife said you have to keep working. We're happy about that. But thank you so much for all that you do, and thank you for being here tonight.
You bet. God bless you both. Keep up the good work, and thanks for letting me be on the show number 50. I love it.
You got it. For process, preparation, and performance, I'm Duke. He's Simmons. Rod Smith has been here all night. God bless people. Thank you very much. See ya.